Lagos mainland. This is Oshodi Market. It's also a popular market here on the mainland of Lagos. As you can see here, it is very much a lot more hustle and bustle than we saw on Thursday at Balogun Market. Naturally, there are a lot of people on the street here. Predominantly, these are people who are selling foods in accordance with the guidelines from the Lagos State government. They are here selling food which have been categorized as essential items. So naturally, you do see that activity on the street here. If you were to look a little to my left there, down this bit, that's where you're going to be seeing a lot more closed stalls, a lot less activity than we are seeing on the highway here. But even though the scenes here are slightly different than we saw at Balogun Market, the feeling of discontent and contention is still the same when we speak to market traders. In fact, we've got Mr. Mansour Kehinde here with us. He himself is a trader at the market, and he's come to tell us about his own experiences here at the market today. Good morning, sir. If you could first tell us your name and what it is you sell here at the market.
Yeah, I be marketer, but I'm selling goods for Oshodi. For Oshodi, I'm selling woman wears and men wears, and we just say coronavirus there outside. They don't allow us to sell, and we know they don't allow us to do anything we like. We don't see money to eat.
Right. Okay. I see. So as you know, this is the second day that the government has asked people not to come to the market, but still there are people around. How do you feel about that?
We don't feel well. We don't feel well, but we just stay cold, but we don't see market yourself. Because when we don't see market, we don't see money to eat and to chop now. And I wait till we see without.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time here. So, Rotas, as you can see, the feeling of discontent continues here in Oshodi at the market. Naturally, there are people who are a little uneasy with the fact that they've had to now stay away from the market, be away from making funds for a second day. We did expect there to be this continued feeling of discontent on the streets here of Lagos, but naturally, the further away we get from the hub that was the Lagos Island market that we were at yesterday, you can see that there's a little less compliance with these directives. Naturally, you can see a group of motorcycle riders here. You can see Danfo buses, those yellow distinctive to Lagos buses there. And there's also the food markets on the street. I don't know if you can hear the people on the street here, which is a predominantly Yoruba neighborhood, but people are saying that they are hungry already. So the government, the government's directive to keep them out of work for this 7-day period hasn't been welcomed warmly. Rotas.
I was going to ask that gentleman that you just spoke with now that sells clothes, said he sells clothes for men and women. How easy would it be for him to quickly transition to selling some foodstuffs, you know, if he's that desperate to eat?
Oh, Rotas, could you say that again?
I said, how easy would it be for those who are complaining that they have nothing to sell because they need to eat to quickly transition to selling food items in order to survive for the next 7 days?
Well, if we were to look at what they're selling in order to survive, naturally there are a lot of people who are idle here. What we do see in terms of people who are trading are the ladies, people who are selling fresh food and vegetables. You see the peppers in the distance there. But if we were to separate them along gender lines, I think that's where it becomes a bit more interesting, because naturally it's the men who aren't being able to open the shop. The first gentleman we spoke to, he said that he sells shoes and sandals and he makes his own items, and because that doesn't fall under the category of essential food and medical items, naturally he's had to close his store. Whereas with the ladies here, they are still very much at trade, but the foot traffic, even though it is quite busy, the foot traffic has depleted considerably. So you can imagine that the amount of sales that they've been having has been less than what we've been used to seeing on the markets here.
Now,
just towards here, if you were to look down this. Go ahead, Rotas.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much awareness is there about the coronavirus? Because I'm not seeing that many people wearing gloves. I'm not seeing that many people wearing masks. How much awareness is there?
People are very aware that coronavirus is what's keeping them out of work. They are aware that there is such a thing called coronavirus, and that is the reason why the market is considerably less busy than it usually is. But in terms of the crux of the issue, understanding how the virus works, how it spreads, there is a lapse of information here, because again, when we speak to people, people, their emotions are more so directed at the fact that they can't work because of this coronavirus, rather than understanding that the whole point of the government's directive is to keep big social groups from gathering so that the virus cannot spread.
I saw somebody dancing there. Does he dance for money? The gentleman that was breakdancing, is that how he's surviving over these next 7 days? Adefemi, if this continues past 7 days, do you think the discontent is going to grow? Are there people, traders there, that are hoping it ends after 7 days and doesn't continue? What's the mood like?
Oh, absolutely. You can see that this is already quite a tense situation happening at this market in Oshodi. As I said, this directive is only initially for at least the next 7 days. Well, 6 days now. It's only supposed to last a total of 7 days. However, at the end of that 7-day period, the government is expected to address whether or not they would lift the partial shutdown or extend it. If they were to extend it, we can only imagine that the tensions here would grow greater, and how they would cultivate, how they would manifest themselves into action from these people is unclear now. But I think what needs to happen between now and the end of the 7-day partial shutdown is a lot more information on the streets here. The most basic directive for preventing the spread of coronavirus is to keep a social distance. And as you can see, it's very difficult for people to do that here. On the one hand, they may or may not be aware of the social distance directive, and on the other hand, there just isn't the space. There isn't the desire to move away from each other, especially when this is your everyday life. This is what you see. These are the same stalls and the same people that you see every other day. So naturally, when it comes to social distance, that's been very hard to enforce in most of the markets that we've been seeing, both yesterday on Thursday and today here on Friday, Rotis.